Hello everybody, my name is Anati and today we will be beginning a short video series where we'll be teaching you everything I know about web development and AI. We'll cover everything from Figma to Cursor to Make.com and CRM integration. So yeah, let's begin. The first thing we're going to be covering is frames. Frames are essentially boxes where you can separate and manipulate various elements ranging from text to images. You can set the size of the frame manually, right? But often this is time consuming and difficult. So what I suggest anyone starting with frames to do is that you look to your right side and you will get the resolutions of various different devices. These are a great tool because they allow you to set the exact aspect ratio that you may want, and it allows whatever frame or website you're building to be flexible across multiple devices. So for us, we are going to start with desktop. Alright, as you can see here, we have the standard desktop size. What we can do from here is that we can increase the vertical height to give it a more scrollable length. That way it doesn't only cover the area on which we can see on the screen, but there is also contents below it. So let's do that now. Let's make that double. Boom. And just like that, we have a nice scrollable website. Very simple, very easy stuff. Now there are a bunch of properties that you can control with the frame, right? You can control the color, you can add strokes, you can add effects. Now, the ability to add things like strokes and effects is primarily something we're going to go into when we're now talking about layers and how you can stack things on top of each other. So right now, let's just get an example image and then some example text so I can show you how it works. There we go. Here we have an example of an image element, right? Here we can manipulate all sorts of factors. If you double click on it, you can manipulate its various attributes. You can manipulate its size. You can manipulate its position. You can add effects like stroke. Here we can add red stroke. We can increase its weight, just like that. We can add effects. We can add a shadow. We can adjust the settings on the shadow like this. Increase its spread. Increase its blur. There we go. Right, and then here we have a text element. On this one, we have different attributes that we can change, such as size. We can also select fonts here, as well as the various weight of the fonts, or different styles, I suppose. We can go with extra bold italic. We can also change its alignment and its position on the overall page. Layers allow you to group and segment elements as well as adjust their position relative to each other, in the sense of whether an element is ahead or behind. This allows you to create overlays and dramatically improve your image. I recommend segmenting your site into key areas and then placing your elements within those areas. So the way this potentially looks is I could create a frame here. As it stands right now, this is just like a basic showcase of what you could potentially do with layers. Once we get to constructing the website itself, we're obviously going to give it a bit more, sophistication. Generally, when creating websites, it's easier to have some kind of a plan, template, or website you want to create a similar design to. This makes it easier because you know exactly what you want to do and you know the direction to head in when you're trying to make adjustments. Alright, so here we're going to go for a travel website. I wanted to go for something similar to this, just a little picture I found off Pinterest. And I think this could really give us a nice look. So what I'm going to do right now is that I'm also going to get a little template here, right, that I can use to help give me an idea of the exact structure I want the website to have. It's important to have these kinds of things sorted even just during the planning phase, because they give you a great idea of exactly what you're going to need to do. So let's get started on the background here. I was thinking we go with a Japanese themed travel website. So the area we'll be covering will be Kyoto. Let's get the second background image. Another feature to learn about here is rectangles. These are essentially just shapes that you can insert directly onto the page. Very simple stuff, but they're extremely useful. For example, in this scenario, I need a black space where I can have something similar to these. So in order to do that, I'm going to be inserting a black rectangle. So another thing you can do with rectangles that I think makes them very useful is that you can layer them on top of images, just like this. Let's get it a bit lower here. Perfect. On the fill section, you have multiple options that you can choose from. One of them is the gradient option. That's what we're going to be using here. Let's add another one to add a little shadow to the area. Let's do the same thing out here. For the background layers, you mostly want to keep them outside of any other frames because they exist across the entire page and can't exist within their own frame really. Let's get into something like text. Okay, so we're back. As you can see, this is the completed site. Very similar to what we had before, right? Bit simplified, but still in good spirits. Now, if you look to your left at the layers section, you can see that I've segmented everything into the various parts of the page, as well as the original background elements, which are of course separated from any segmentation. So the way I did this is essentially by simply putting a frame over each individual portion of the page and aligning all the elements inside. Now typically you do this after you've placed the elements, because by simply putting the frame over the elements, they will just fall into the frame. It's not something that you need to do frame by frame. That's everything you need to know about the Figma basics. Tune in next time, we'll be covering animations. We're going to bring this page to life. So yeah, thank you for watching.